education is a challenge in this country, and I hate using the word challenge as if, we call it modeling issues here. It's a crisis. I think it's a crisis. Education has always been a problem, and it started many years ago. It's got nothing to do with what happened in the last 23 years. We've produced a society that has produced bad education for many years, and many organizations try to solve these issues. That gets me excited because I like people who solve issues. We call them here because we think, let's talk about how we can do things differently. So I bumped into an organization called Lighting Tomorrow through a woman who's been chasing me forever. I'll tell you, she's tried. I mean, she made sure I could not escape. So I'm so happy to be welcoming in studio Leyla Haidarian. Leyla, you're going to have to help me pronounce your surname, but Leyla is a media personality, entrepreneur, and life coach. She focuses her work on coaching young people in the art of entrepreneurship by combining their passion with a vision for sustainable change. I'll say more about you later. Then we've got Ghazala. She's also here. She's an award-winning educationist and an entrepreneur. She has years of experience managing the student well-being portfolio through life orientation, career coaching, and service project initiatives in local communities. All these intros, ladies, sound like Greek to me. What do you guys do, and what is Lighting Tomorrow?
Ooh, we inspire young people, and they inspire us. That's really what it is. That's our project.
So that, in a nutshell, that's what you guys do. Now, tell me about Lighting Tomorrow in more detail. What is the organization? When was it born? What does it do? What is it supposed to achieve?
So Lighting Tomorrow has really been around for quite some time. In effect, because my partner Ghazala and the founder of this program has been really piloting the modules that have come to be known as Lighting Tomorrow for several years in her role as a teacher, as a high school teacher. And it's once we came together that we synergized and said, let's take this to many schools. Let's take this model of education to high schools around the country and help them benefit from this. Really what it is, it's a mobile incubator that goes from high school to high school. And we incubate young high schoolers for a period of 3-4 days, and then we have follow-ups with the learners. And we help the school in a lot of different ways as well. But
what happens in the incubation? Ghazala?
During the incubation, we have very unique approaches and methodologies that I think has made this impact within the schools that we've worked with so far, where we're able to access learners, not through textbooks and resources, but really through an exploratory approach in their inner being, helping them unlock their powers of self, helping them to realize that they can consult about problems and teaching them those skills, delving into their talents and capacities, and channeling all of these things into the well-being of their communities. Now, a lot of people see youth and they say, oh, it's that problematic era, that phase, this very difficult phase. But Lighting Tomorrow, we look at youth as a reservoir of capacity to transform society, really waiting to be tapped. Within that age group, between 12, 15, 16, you find a lot of energy. There's an eagerness to learn about the world. And
there's adolescence.
Adolescence, exactly.
Yeah, all those funny things.
It can go either way, too.
That's it. So you have this eagerness to learn. You have this broad powers of observations coming in. You have this keen interest, this wonderful feature that they have, but at the same time, it's accompanied with discomfort, anxiety. So it's important that they receive the right kind of education and nurturing that takes those abilities, takes those talents, and channels them towards the elevation of our world.
But why do we need this? And I'm asking this as a layman. I did some schooling. Between 12 and 15, I did go to school. And I didn't have Lighting Tomorrow. Nobody channeled my energies. And I was a normal boy. I tried a spiff here and a little drink there, and I tried all the wrong things. Why do we need it? What necessitates this?
I think that growing up in our society, there's a lot of rapid change. You have a lot of exposure to technology, social media. So you have a lot of forces that are shaping the way our youth are today. And not all of those forces are positive. However, not all of them, they're not negative either. For example, let's take something like peer pressure or social media or sexuality education. Those are positive forces if used correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Peer pressure can be a wonderful thing if it's leading learners towards the general interest in building their communities, if they're looking at enhancing their school environments. Social media is wonderful. It brings this huge power to the table that can unite us, get us talking, get us chatting, let us have exposure to the world out there. Our sexuality is wonderful. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. You and me, human life is as a result of this. Perhaps we should maybe look at channeling kids to think about it. Is it right for me right now? Do I need to perhaps become financially independent before I bring a child into this world? And it's not preachy. Our program's not preachy. This is what you should do and this is what you shouldn't do. It's exploratory. So learners start to internalize these things and they come up with these solutions themselves.
And these things, Leyla, are the learners not getting from school?
Well, we just feel like the way in which things are being taught in school are a little more top-down. There's very little space for learners to really explore topics and be self-initiated learners. Really what stands out for me, and having seen this program roll out now and witnessing its power, what's been amazing for me is to see the learners themselves come to conclusions and develop this thirst for learning, for lifelong learning, to say, we want to take charge of the conclusions we come up with. We want to take charge of what we draw out. So it's almost like, Ghazala and I see ourselves as mine workers, and we're going into this mine, and we're mining these gems. They're already there. It's not like these learners are a cup that we have to fill with some, knowledge or with wisdom. They are actually teaching us so much. And what we provide are the tools that they can use to communicate, to synthesize information, and to really channel the information in constructive ways that help build communities and society as a whole.
You came up with the idea, Ghazala. Is it something that you saw somewhere and replicated here? Is it a program that already existed somewhere? It's called maybe Light in South Africa, Light in Tomorrow, South Africa, or is it something that you woke up one morning and thought, I can change the world?
I've been working with youth for many, many years. It's my day job, and I don't know who has more fun, them or me. And when they come into the classroom, there was something different. And they would always say, this is so different. You look at us in a different way. You treat us in a different way. And that makes us want to soar to greater heights and be better people. We love this approach that you have. Can it not be possible for you to take this approach to other teachers, to other schools, to other learners? Because when we have these lessons, we feel better. We feel more in tune with our holistic selves. We realize we have so much more power. We're not just heart, we're not just mind, we're not just body, but we're heart, body, mind, and soul coming together, in this classroom and alive with possibility. So
that almost sounded like a payoff line, but anyway. My guests are Leyla. Leyla, how do I pronounce your surname?
Leyla Tavernaro Haidarian.
Okay, she's Leyla
Haidarian.
TH, and Ghazala Khan. They represent an organization called Lighting Tomorrow. Somebody listening to me now and to ask Ghazala is saying, sounds exciting. I've got a 12-year-old, I've got a 13-year-old, but they would like to know how exactly the program works. Paint a picture for me. Take this, let's create this girl. Let's call her Nosipo.
Nasipo.
Why would she come to this program and what is she going to get? Paint a picture for Nosipo's mother who's listening now.
So there are several modules that we go through with the kids, and Ghazala will tell you a little bit more about what those modules are. But one of the very important tools that we discuss during one of the modules is the tool of consultation. What does consultation mean? We live in a world where our sort of mainstream media is very much influenced by Western standards. And this idea of arguing and fighting and trying to have ideas that are stronger win has really become, we've taken that on and we've said this is how it's done, and this is how we do politics, and this is how we do business, this is how we do education even. So we offer consultation as a tool where we say, no, we are one and we are going to explore a topic together in an exploratory manner. And the program itself will have a quote or a paragraph that we read together, and then we'll go through a series of questions about that paragraph. And we consult and we deliberate, which is actually something that is very, it's very African to deliberate, with the idea of Ubuntu and I am because we are.
Leyla,
Yes.
no. I tend to think, especially now that you said African, I tend to think actually in the African society, children are just seen, not heard. You don't consult with children.
Exactly.
You tell children what needs to happen.
Adults will consult.
Yeah, so when you do a program of consultation and you do it with young people, aren't you talking to the wrong guys? Shouldn't you be changing the guys that don't like to consult, guys called parents?
Oh, forget those guys. They're the wrong generation.
With every generation comes new hope. And what we're saying is that turn on the TV, and you flick through the channels, and all you see is war, you see crime, you see poverty, you see all these social issues come to the forefront. We say, okay, how do you change these? What is the core of any issue? It's destructive mindsets, inherited tendencies that people are operating with. Because your thoughts are really giving way to your actions. Mm-hmm. But can you really change people who are so set in their ways and thought patterns and mannerisms and behaviors? No, here you have youth who are at that age where they're learning, they're new to these things, and within them you can really formulate character building, where you can get them to see a world where, hey, you can consult. It doesn't have to be a us and them, a me or you or a you. It can be us both. We're both important, we're both here. Let's look at how we can make decisions that represent everybody, really. And that, is reflective of the problems we're seeing in the world right now. It's that this person is important or this group is represented. What about us being trustees of this planet, and we're all on the agenda, whether we're black, white, pink, yellow, green, man, woman, African, American. Yeah, we're all here, and we're noticing that if there's issues in one country, it affects the other, because we're a global society. Mm-hmm. And this is the kind of mindset we want to raise our children towards, so that they can start operating in this global world with skills, capacities.
I always give this disclaimer when I have to ask questions that I'm about to ask now. Somebody like me is trained. By training, I'm trained to be a cynic. So that gives you a prelude to the kind of question that's coming. Aren't you preaching some pie in the sky when the real world is real, and you can paint this picture that says, we can live harmoniously, we can consult, we can talk. But the reality is that the world out there has got a Donald Trump.
I'll ask you something. What is more naive? to play the game we've always been playing and expect different results? Or to say, let's try and build a different game. Let's play a different game. Let's have different rules. Let's try it out. If we don't try it out, we won't know what will come. But if we do things the way we always have, and think that it's a complacent mindset, to be empowered and to be self-initiated, that's something that is liberating. You say, I'm not stuck by the narratives that have come before me. I'm not stuck by those stories. I can unfold my own myth. I will create a new world. And therefore, to me, it's a matter of saying, let's just try. Let's just give it a shot and see where it takes us. I think Ghazala and I have seen miracles happen. So
you need to come to.
And I'd like to hear about some of these miracles. I mean, let's bring them to life. I mean, have you had in a room, this delinquent young guy who does not think that the world could be a better place, and after your program, they then tend to think, actually, people are not bad people after all.
Yes, I think Ghazala has a whole lot of testimonials from
Yeah, I wish we could have had some of these learners here. I mean, if you see what we see through our eyes, in those moments working with like we've just finished a project with Athlone Girls High School, their RCL body, those girls were amazing. When we left, they was like, thank you so much. I feel changed. I had no idea I had all these powers. When they look at the university situations, the Fees Must Fall campaign, they themselves acknowledge, we have power as this generation. But what you taught us today is that with that power comes responsibility. Perhaps we can move forward in unity, but maybe not burn stuff. For them to start voicing these ideas and starting to think in that forward way, it's fascinating to witness. It motivates us. It drives us. That's why we're here tonight.
Even on
You
a
know?
personal level. I mean, several of the students approached us with some of their personal challenges. And I think what they took home from the 3 or 4 days that we spent with them were tools that they could apply in their personal situations, where before they saw themselves as victims of a domestic situation where perhaps a stepfather or some figure in the family was in some ways verbally abusive, and they felt like victims of that situation. They felt empowered to turn that around and say, I'm taking responsibility for the way that I feel and what I make of this situation right now. If I can't change it, then I'm going to change something within me to meet this and help me grow and transcend. And to hear that from them, this is not something imposed by me. This is something that they take out of the program and say, we feel like we're more empowered to deal with our day-to-day challenges. And we do interviews with them before and after. So we take stock and we talk to the kids to see where are they at, what are some of their problems, how do they feel at the end. And we see service projects, come to the fore. They start service projects in their communities. Things like sports programs, children's classes, junior youth groups, initiatives that they take, that they see a problem in their community. They're like, I'm no longer waiting for outside resources. I'm going to pull together what I have, and I'm going to address this issue.
Metro FM Talk, my name is Rams Mabote. You're on the Game Changer. That section that we have every second Monday. Talk to people who are making a difference in our world. Of course, they don't think I think that way about them because I ask the crappy questions, but I have to ask the crappy questions. But Lighting Tomorrow is the organization. They've got a payoff line that says, youth can move the world. Somebody should have told me this 30 years ago. They are a successful group of successful professionals with award-winning methods. Their program has been tested and refined for 5 years in the private sector and is now rolling out in public schools in the rest of the community. Ghazala, where does it start? Do you get a call from the school? Do you go to the school and say, we've got this program we think you should be interested in? Where's the egg and where's the chicken?
Yeah, so basically we reach out. We speak to principals. I've been in education for a while, so I know a lot of principals. They know me, and they like my work. So, with networking, we go out, we meet principals, they talk about their challenges, we propose solutions. And I think one of the most important, I would say, the big challenges that principals face is that, they want programs like this. They see the necessity. As educators themselves, they are going through a lot of challenges within their schools. It's not easy. We think, why is education where it is? Why are matric results where? But if we look at the whole school system, they have marking, they have assessments, they have curriculums that they have to finish in given time periods. It's not always easy. They need support. And most of the research saying that schools have to seek support in terms of outside support programs that can help with their daily operational functions. And they need businesses, skilled individuals to come around them and support them and say, we can fund this, we can pump money into these initiatives, because sometimes they're toilet facilities, they need soccer equipment. It's not always easy for schools to generate those sorts of funds. School fees aren't enough. We've interviewed dozens of principals and really similar problems. So what we do is we reach out to corporates who are willing to sponsor these programs. So we bring it to the school really as a gift. Or the SGB within the school say, we really need this, we'll fund these initiatives.
And when you go to a corporate and you say, this program that could help Auckland Park High School, in 1, 2, 3, 4, what do they get in return?
Well, it's really on two levels. I think a lot of corporates have been pumping a lot of money into various different projects, and they're taking stock. So what we've noticed from our own research is they're taking stock. They're saying, does it pay off to put a lot of money into math and science and English and reading and all these different things? Are we making an impact? And the general consensus seems to be that what is needed is a more psychosocial approach, one that addresses the child holistically. Because if the child is not well on the inside, doesn't have the internal psychological skills to deal with life, then having math skills doesn't help. So they're trying to fund those kinds of projects, and they see that that is a need that we are addressing through our program. So they're excited because they have budgets for education. And honestly, in the long run, when you look at it, corporates benefit from a pool of innovators who are forward-thinking, who are problem solvers, who don't have a tick box mentality, because right now the workforce is suffering from a crop of kids that come from high school and don't have all those skills.
But I suppose the biggest benefit is having contributed to a sober society.
Absolutely.
That should be enough. That should be very enough, isn't it?
Thank
I
you.
thought you were too cynic to say.
Well, there are times when I'm not a cynic. Okay, let me invite our listeners to talk to you if they've got questions for you. We are on 089 110 3377. I want to ask you, if you've been listening to this conversation, I want to ask you a specific question. Would you want your child to be exposed to lighting tomorrow? Do you think it's something that is critical? Have you seen things that are happening in society, at your child's school, in the environment, and you think, if only my children had the advantage of being part of lighting tomorrow, or at least the school where my children go, or my child goes, would it help? Would it even help my community? If you have questions for Leyla and Ghazala, they're right here. We are on 089 110 3377. I don't have them for long. I have to get rid of them at some point. So do rush quickly to speak to them. What is the feedback from the teachers themselves?
So we've had very positive feedback. I think one of the most eye-opening things for teachers and principals has been to see the changes in their students, and for them to say, we've noticed a different energy among our students, a willingness to learn, a willingness to problem solve. So they are seeing things that they didn't necessarily see in their kids before, And to be quite honest, a lot of teachers and staff also have a lot of challenges that they're facing within their, leadership bodies and management structures. There's all kinds of issues still in our country, obviously. I say our country because, this is my home. It's been my home for many years. But, issues such as racism are still very prevalent. Mm-hmm. And as good as young people are in addressing them and being very open about these issues and being able to talk about them and therefore, in my mind, heal them more easily, it's actually quite hard for adults sometimes to deal with those kinds of issues.
Ghazala, are you not taking responsibility from me as a parent to be shaping my children to be good children, good adults in the future?
Absolutely, I'm taking responsibility. Because as parents in South Africa, we know the challenges. The modern world is quick, it's fast-paced, we're working, we're trying to put food on the table, we come home, we're exhausted, kids have TV, they're being babysat by the TV. Those things, they impact. And you need that voice within a kid's head, that voice of reason, of instilling virtue, of character building, that pure voice that says, I am more than all these forces that are shaping me. I'm more than the boxes people are putting me in. I am the soul, and I have power. And that power manifests in all my skills and my talents. And I have a career choice. But where does that come from? Where do I derive this world of work? How do I choose careers? Who's accompanying me on this journey to choosing a career? Not just for my own material benefit, but that would benefit humanity, that would benefit the world, and target some of these issues that we're really facing. So we're looking at youth. We feel like we should all take responsibility. It's this, if you have more skills, if you have a program that works and you know that it has an impact, it's a responsibility to make sure that you're accessing the people that need it the most. So yeah.
What happens when you pick up a very troubled soul, a kid that's going through a very terrible time, either at home or with society or even with the teacher? We've had cases of teachers molesting kids. When you pick up something, have you ever picked up something like that? Not necessarily extreme. How do you then, can you ring fence a single child, take them out of a group and deal with them individually?
So, yeah, we see a lot of issues on a daily basis. I'm a counselor, so I speak to a lot of kids, on a very personal level. And there are lots of issues going on, and that is why I started off by saying that of course we take responsibility, because some kids don't have that person, that hope that they can look at and stand with, that accompanies them on their journey and says, it's okay. one can move on from where you are. You can create a different script with help. You can move on to making different decisions. It's not always easy. These things are always a process. That is why it's always better for preventative measures to come in. And that's our program's really looking at prevention. Getting into to schools in the ages of grade 8 and 9, where the problems are there, but there's still that hope where we can shape kids towards making better decisions, making better choices, choosing, subjects and decisions within their lives that are for their own benefit, not just for themselves, but their communities. And the youth of South Africa, from our experience, are very willing. They're vibrant, they're musical, they love the arts, they love the music, and we infuse that in many of our approaches.
There's art therapy. We have online mentoring. So the kids sort of have a support system in place after we leave the school, places they can turn to.
Don't they become, though, dependent? Don't they then get to think that they need you to survive for the rest of their lives?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, not really. I mean, South African kids are quite resilient. I think we underestimate them. They've come from a history, and they're tough. If they see that there's a vision, a direction, a place that they can put their energies into, they pretty much get over things very quickly. I don't know, obviously this is a very general statement and each person has its own individual circumstances. But generally, we haven't really been with groups that were not willing to take what we've given them and move it. In fact, they've been utterly inspired by the process.
Okay, I've been told that I must get this thing wrapped up quickly. So, the groups, how big are the groups that you work with?
About 30 to 60 kids.
At a time?
Mm-hmm, at a time.
Over a 4-day period, you say?
That's right, correct.
Okay, and okay, I need to take a break and then we'll conclude. I've got a job where I get instructed what to do. So when I come back, I'm going to conclude with my game changers. I've got 3 more questions to ask you and then move on to something else.
Taking the Rams by the horn. On Metro FM. Mondays and Tuesdays, 7:30 to 9. Yeah. If your morning hasn't begun until you're on the First Avenue, 5 to 8 a.m.
Wake up.
You can't face 8 to 10 without getting the morning fix with Mo Flavor.
Your program.
It doesn't cost the school anything, actually.
Yeah, I'm saying, how much does the program cost? Because see let's
Per
say
learner.
let's say a principal is listening and they want to do it and they don't even have, you guys don't have an immediate sponsor and he says, I can pay for it. What would it cost?
So to incubate a learner for 4 days, we're looking at plus minus 1,500.
For 4 days?
For 4 days.
That's a pittance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pittance.
It really is.
Yes.
But I think the main aim is to reach. To
Yeah.
reach, to make that difference that we really want to see in our country, with our learners, with our youth, and to move the youth forward. Because youth can move the world.
But most importantly, the guys that should be listening to you now are people who would want to support the program and benefit the schools out there. Those are the guys that should be listening to us now. Those are the guys who are going to call you as soon as we give them the contact details.
Exactly. We'll be waiting for their calls.
Yeah.
How do we contact you? What are the contact details for Lighting Tomorrow?
Well, you can find us on our website, which is lightingtomorrow.co.za.
Okay.
Lighting Tomorrow, obviously, also on social media or on our emails. Leyla, Leyla, at lightingtomorrow.co.za, or Ghazala, Ghazala, at
lightingtomorrow.co.za. And they are on Twitter. They've been tweeting. I mean, from the minute they agree, I've been seeing all these tweets all over. They also on YouTube. You'll find them. They are on Facebook. I urge you guys to support Lighting Tomorrow, because